What I say now, I specifically say to all baptized scientists, philosophers, and religious leaders. The unalterable answer to the question, quote, what is the source of conscious thought, unquote, is clearly and freely given through Yahshua's spiritual fulfilling of the natural written law of Moses and the prophets. However, the answers to this question and all other questions pertaining to the wisdom, knowledge, and power of God are sealed up. I repeat, sealed up, in order to prevent the enemies of God from receiving the wisdom, knowledge, and power of God. Scripture reference, the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, verses 13 through 16. That is to emphatically say, the book of law, Hebrew Torah, English Bible, was written in the finite, knowledgeable form of prophetic parables, which no man can interpret. For the natural written law of Moses and the prophets inherently embody the spiritual presence of the one true author and creator of the heavens, the universe called earth, the seas, and all things therein, according to his own infinite thoughts and colorful visions, which no scientist, philosopher, or religious leader can discern. Quote, for who among men can know the thoughts of a man except the spirit of the man which is in him? Even so, the thoughts of God no man knows except the Spirit of God. End quote. Scripture reference, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. That said, I now ask that you please hear the following excerpts from the LA Times Magazine, dated 11/17/02, which pertains to an interview with James D. Watson, the collaborator of the late Nobel laureate Francis H.C. Crick, by Times writer Michael Hiltzik. Quote, I have never seen Francis Crick in a modest mood, end quote, was James D. Watson's appraisal of this research partner in the famous opening line of, quote-unquote, The Double Helix, his 1968 memoir. Today, 4 decades after having won a Nobel Prize and a permanent place in the pantheon of biology for helping to explicate the ancient structure of DNA, the double helix of Watson's book title, Francis Crick is devoting his robust mind to solving a riddle of biology emerging from the opposite end of the revolutionary scale. His goal is to identify the physical biased, the quote-unquote neural correlate in scientific terminology of the very quality that separates humankind from animals and machines: consciousness. In the last 2 decades, Crick has become one of the most prolific theorists of this search. In articles, many co-written with Caltech professor Christoph Koch, Crick has exhorted his colleagues to explore the physical mechanisms that make us thinking individuals. At the heart of the Crick-Koch hypothesis is a simple idea with vast implications. It is that consciousness, rather than representing some spiritual or God-given quality, is a biological process like digestion or circulation generated by the activity of neurons in the brain. There might have been no better candidate to move the subject of consciousness out of the physical world and into the empirical than Francis Crick, born in 1916 to church-going but not especially devout Protestants near Northampton, England. He found himself pondering, I repeat, pondering, the incompatibility of science and religion at an early age, and ever after wore his hostility toward religion and philosophy like a badge. At exactly which point I lost my early religious faith, I am not clear, he wrote, but it was almost certainly before the actual onset of puberty. To this day, he sprinkles his daily banter with reminders of his antipathy toward philosophers, lest anyone forget that only science holds the key to the ultimate truths. I repeat, lest anyone forget that only science holds the key to the ultimate truths. End quote. Fortunately, unlike the late Nobel laureate Francis H.C. Crick, I, Joseph, have been given to understand that after the age of puberty, one should set aside their own childish omniscience, and rather than ponder the incompatibility of science and religion, one should ponder the unalterable compatibility of God and science. Lest any naturally arrogant and spiritually ignorant scientist forget that only the one true omniscient Godhead of invisible light holds the key to the ultimate truth.